dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again. I believe that we will win. Through the sweat and the fire within, we rise up when the skies grow dim. I believe that we will win. Mud on our boots, steel in our veins. Feel the heartbeat driving through the pain. Field of battle under shining lights. Every tackle about this fight. I believe that we will win. Push through the noise, drown out the din. No giving up, we dig right in. I believe that we will win. Out on the edge where the brave won't break. With every fall, we got hearts that ache. But we're not done, we're just starting the run. This is the song to the iron in the sun. Shouts from the stands echo.
What's up, U.S. men's national team fans? It is Monday night, and it's time for another edition of USMNT Yanks Abroad. Man, oh man, oh man, what a hell of a weekend for a lot of our pool players across the pond, and we're about to get into it. But make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons and also hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on any upcoming content here on Stateside Footy. All right. Tonight, we are going to start off with my guy, Christian Pulisic. And why wouldn't we start off with him? Because my dude is absolutely on fire. I shit you not. Comes in at the 65th minute, and the ball is in the back of the net. My guy is at the peak of his powers right now in the prime of his sporting career. The guy is in form, and he's doing it going into a World Cup year. Unbelievable. I swear, I shit you not. The dude only had 24 minutes, and he already bags a brace. Obviously, gets the winner against Torino today as AC Milan, essentially erased a 2-goal lead. And it was all because of our guy, Christian. And, man, it was just unbelievable. And by the way, I usually don't give out 10 ratings. I usually don't because, for the most part, it's incredibly hard to get a 10 rating in my book. You almost have to be perfect. And the fact of the matter is, it's like you're talking 25 minutes on the pitch, and the dude bags a brace. And the first one was just kind of funny, too, because it was a cross in from, it was a cross in. And it was intended, for the target 9. It clears his head and just lands right on Christian's foot, and it's essentially a tap in. It's unbelievable, man. The guy was unbelievable. 2 goals on 2 shots, 2 chances created, 16 touches, 6 in the opposition box, 9 of 11 of accurate passes, and it is what it is, man. Christian is just quite simply. He's Captain America. What is there to say? I don't think I've really ever seen this type of performance before, really. Like, we're only talking at the end of the game. He was only there to get kind of get his form a little bit. He's been out for a couple, allegedly, dealing with, a little bit of a cold or whatever the case may be. Wasn't anything serious. And this is just to get his feet under him. And, oh, by the way, he wins, he wins the game for AC Milan. And by the way, picks up 3 absolute massive points. And I'm glad that I was able to get this one in tonight under the wire because, obviously that game was going on today. So from that standpoint, man, congratulations, Christian. You're obviously was the man of the match. And from my standpoint, you were also player of the week as well, too. So that was absolutely phenomenal of Christian. And so from that standpoint, man, what else is there to say? And it's a great way to start off this week's recap. The interesting thing is, by the way, Derby, the 501st 2, we're winning the World Cup. Captain America is him. All right, take a breath, man. Seriously, take a breath. I actually get accused of this all the time, right? Because sometimes I just get a little over myself a little bit. Sometimes I get caught up in the moment, and even I have to say, like, all right, hold on, man. Winning the World Cup. Listen, if Christian is Christian in the World Cup. Now, if you remember, the third game of the group stage of 2022 against Iraq, and he had that goal. Those are the type of performances that Christian needs to have in the World Cup, okay? Where he literally takes the team by the scruff of the neck and just leads them into an area where we haven't been before. That being said, we have the talent. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And oh, by the way, we might actually have the coach to be able to pull this off. He goes on to say the way Pulisic performing is going to be really interesting to see who makes the squad. 100%. All right, so moving on here, we got to talk about Josh Sargent, because Josh, by the way, scored his first goal since August 30th. It has been, I guess you can say it's been a personal hill for Josh. And of course, he was a part of the September window. And, and it was well-deserved considering he was absolutely on fire. He probably was the U.S. soccer player of the month for September. That dude started a season absolutely balls to the wall on fire. And then it just dropped off. And when you looked at Norwich City as a team, and you saw exactly the way that they're playing, it was not conducive for Josh. And he just went on like he went on one of the illest goal droughts I can actually remember him having. Listen, man, I was critical of Josh this summer. Number one, missing the Gold Cup, right? There was like two players that I thought needed to be a part of the Gold Cup squad. It was Josh, and it was also Yunus Musa. Those two really needed to be a part of the Gold Cup because at that point they're kind of fringy at best. And also when you looked at it, it would have been a perfect opportunity for a guy like Josh to get a couple goals in the Gold Cup and remind people that he can still excel at that level, regardless of the competition. And he didn't take advantage of it. There was a move to Wolfsburg, back to the Bundesliga that he ixnayed. And I understand, right, man? He's got a wife and his kid, and the last thing you want to do is move to a country where you got to learn the language and you got to do a whole bunch of things. And they had settled into a nice routine in England. I get it, man. And if I was in a situation, I probably would do the same thing. He's being paid handsomely, and there was a couple moves, on deck. One of them was to Burnley, the other one was to Leeds, and those moves could still happen in January as well too. I don't think this run of form changes anything because I think he's got a body of work in the championship that speaks for itself. So from that standpoint, I still think those two, like one of those moves, depending on which team badly needs a striker, I can possibly see Josh getting 6 months in the Premier League come January. By the way, Watford, they ended up losing to Watford 3-2. Josh played a full 90. He scored a goal on 3 shots, 37 touches, 3 in the opposition box, 13 of 17 have accurate passes, 4 of 5 have grand duels, and it was good enough for an 8 rating. And by the way, this is the kind of performance that Josh absolutely needed. It sucks that Norwich can't buy a win right now, but it is what it is. We have Giorgio P87 says Josh needed that more than any national team player, 150%. Without a doubt. And yeah, let's see. I've been watching the U.S. men's national team since the 1998 World Cup cycle, and this group will go even farther. Potentially. It depends on veteran leadership and then also the balance of the team. That 2002 squad had the right veteran depth. It had the right mix of youth, but it was a balanced roster. And they also had a coach that had them believing literally since the first of the year 2002. That was a perfect storm. And plus they get Mexico in the round of 16. That may never happen again, by the way. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Ricardo Pepi. And by the way, I go all the way back to the 1990 World Cup cycle. So I mean, I go back to the essentially what we call the modern age of the national team. So you and I can probably have a conversation for hours. Ricardo Pepi, PSV, beat Heerenveen 2-0. And for Ricardo, he's now scored in his second straight. And this is absolutely massive because, again, you're talking about a guy that had been dealing with a couple, nagging injuries here and there over the course of the last couple of months. He had to wait because, the guy that was his number two was in form. And unfortunately, these things tend to happen. But you give a guy like Ricardo Pepi an opportunity and he scores a couple of goals, and then all of a sudden he's back into the flow of things. He played a full 90. He had a goal on 2 shots, 28 touches, 17 of 19 of accurate passes. And, me personally, I thought he had an 8 rating. I thought Ricardo was phenomenal. And when you look at his movement in and around the 6-yard box, dude is just unbelievable. The guy has the right positioning and he's always in the right spots. Dude, the evolution of Ricardo Pepi has been nice to watch. And what's funny is I know that you said that Josh probably needed that more than needed a national team player. I probably can make a case for Ricardo Pepi as well too, but you're absolutely right about that, 100%. Let's go ahead and talk about Malik Tillman. Malik lost 2-0. The boys of Bayer Leverkusen lost 2-0 to Augsburg. And Tillman actually had a pretty solid game, man. Played 81 minutes. Had 3 shots on net, created 2 chances, 55 touches, 4 in the opposition box, 34 of 43 of accurate passes, 2 of 2 of accurate long balls. And he was 4 of 5 of ground duels. And again, man, steady Eddie. Malik Tillman is proving that he is more than just the Eredivisie. And again, man, consistent performances eventually lead to consistent goal scoring opportunities. But that being said, the fact that he's doing it for one of the biggest teams in the Bundesliga, it goes without saying. And this is going to be an interesting player pool. This positioning is going to be interesting, considering obviously Captain America Christian Pulisic is going to be there, right? So the question is who's going to be starting on the right side in that system of 2 high 10s, because now all of a sudden Gio Reyna is starting to get starting minutes now. And you also have Weston McKennie, and you also have Brendan Aronson as well too. And we're going to get to those guys because they also had pretty phenomenal weeks, except for Wes. But I mean, he played well, but mistakes are mistakes. And by the way, I gave Malik a solid 7 rating. And again, it's like when you have that type of work rate and you do everything right, the one thing that elevates you up above a 7 is a goal and assist. You had to actually have something. But that being said, he's now, I think he's now in a position where he's had like 5 straight matches with a rating of 7 or better. And so again, man, we I like to gush about Christian Pulisic, but it's also Malik Tillman is also, again, consistent at a level that, not a lot of American players have been able to do that. Actually, in the Bundesliga, probably since the days of Christian Pulisic when he was in the Bundesliga. So from that standpoint, it's pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Wes, because Wes had a good game and a bad game. As Juventus lost 2-1 to Napoli, Wes had played a full 90. Now here's the good. He had this nice little through ball into the 18, and obviously Juventus scored off that nice little nifty through ball. 44 touches, 21 of 28 accurate passes. Now here's the bad. He actually was trying to clear the ball out of the box, and it ends up clearing in front of his own 6-yard box, and of course it leads to the winner. It was a mistake. Understandable. Everything that he did right gets negated in one fell swoop about it, and it sucks because it's good enough for a 5.5 rating. Wes knows better, right? He has been around at Juventus long enough, and what sucks is that by the way, this was his first assist of the season, by the way. You do everything right only for it to be negated, and you know better because you've been at this level for quite some time now. You can't make these type of mistakes, especially when you're going up against a team that is looking for the Scudetto. And it sucks, man. It really sucks. But that being said, it's cool to see him get his first assist, but it is what it is. Brendan Aronson. I actually watched this one, and I got to tell you, man, Brendan was awesome. Now, so their head coach, Daniel Fark, switched their attack. They were playing Liverpool. They go to a back three. They're essentially playing a 3-4-2-1. Aronson is on the bench. And it was one of the most boring first halves I've ever seen. But within 5 minutes out of the break, Liverpool scores 2. Then in the 75th minute, they bring in 3, and one of the 3 was Brendan Aronson. And within 30 seconds, they get a penalty. They get awarded a penalty. Dominic Calvert-Lewin buries the penalty. Now it's 2-1. And then in the next attacking sequence, Brendan Aronson shades to the left, drives into the box, dishes off to Stash, and then the game is tied 2-2. And then, of course, Liverpool takes the lead on a Dominic Slobosai. It was just an unbelievable through ball. And all of a sudden, now we're in the 85th minute, and it feels like Liverpool is going to end up taking the 3 points. And then the 90+6, Tanaka levels it 3-3. And now all of a sudden, Liverpool blows a 2-0 lead, and then they blow a late lead. Leeds is actually fortunate to come away with this one, but they played well in the last 15-20 minutes. Brendan Aronson plays 25 minutes. He gets one assist on one shot, one chance created, 18 touches, 8 of 11 of accurate passes. That's good for a 7.5 rating. And again, the last 4 out of the last 5 matches, he's actually elevated his play. Whether it is coming on into the starting 11, if you're playing like in a 4-3-3 and he's playing on the right-hand side. Also, if you're playing a 3-4-2-1, he's actually underneath as a 10. And now all of a sudden, we actually have options at a position where like a year ago, it felt like we didn't really have much. And so that's the beautiful thing about this forward positional group is now, since Pochettino has made the switch tactically, and now all of a sudden it seems like our forward group is pretty much our deepest, one of our deepest positions, and it's absolutely nice to see because, quite frankly, the fact that we're coming into a World Cup year now, and some of our best players are actually playing their best football, it makes me absolutely happy. Gio actually made his second straight start as Borussia Mönchengladbach beat Mainz 1-0. Gio played 69 minutes and he had one shot, 58 touches, 2 in the opposition box, 35 of 41 of accurate passes, 3 of them into the final third, 2 of 3 of accurate long balls, 2 of 2 in successful dribbles, and he was 5 of 6 in ground duels, so he's giving you on both ends. And that was good for a 7.5 rating. And listen, man, Gio has had a really good month, and I'm hoping that this run of form is going to turn into something a little bit more where now we can actually start talking about, goals and assists and some of these other things as well, too. All right, let's go ahead and move to the center defensive midfield as I'm actually welcoming in a new player that I haven't talked about in about 6 weeks. But first, let's talk about Tyler Adams. And it's interesting, right? Because Bournemouth has had a tough, essentially had a tough 2 weeks. Last week, they have a 2-0 lead at the Stadium of Light, and then they blow it and they lose 3-2. That's where Tyler Adams had that essentially midfield volley for a goal. He actually had a really good game in the midst of Bournemouth blowing it. This week they lose 1-0 to Everton, who now find themselves in sixth place, in the Premier League. So up the toppies. Tyler played a full 90, 75 touches, 50 of 56 of accurate passes. 7 of those goes into the final third. 8 defensive contributions, 3 of 6 of ground duels, 3 of 3 of aerial duels, but he took a yellow for some reason. And I think the yellow came off a sequence in which Everton actually scored. I actually had him as a 7 rating, but if you kind of took him down for the yellow, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you whatsoever. But that being said, it's like, man, again, when you look at Tyler and everything he does, and he's doing it for Bournemouth, and now we're starting to get word that maybe Manchester United might be wanting to step in for a guy like Tyler Adams. I don't think it's going to happen in January. This is probably a summer move, but he's been in the Premier League long enough now where he's established himself as one of the best holding midfielders, and I think that maybe a step up to a bigger club is probably in order. I don't like the idea of Manchester United, just considering I think that club is in disarray. And I question whether or not he's actually going to continue to get the minutes personally, right? Because if he has a bad game, they're going to bench him. So it is what it is. All right, I want to welcome back Gianluca Busio. I know he's not a holding midfielder, but this is where I have him. Today, by the way, Venezia drew Avellino 1-1. Gianluca Busio played a full 90. 4 shots on target today, 6 chances created, 109 touches, 78 of 82 of accurate passes. 9 of those went into the in the final third. 3 of 7 of accurate crosses. He also had 4 interceptions today. 3 of 3 of aerial duels, and he was quite literally the best player on the field today. Good enough for an 8.5 rating. And it's been about 5-ish weeks since the last time I talked about him. And by the way, all 5 of those weeks, he's had a rating of like 7 or better. Generally, it's kind of in that 7.5 to 8.5 range. And again, it's easy to kind of gloss over Gianluca because he plays in Serie B. But that being said, it's like he's going to find himself in a better league this upcoming summer. At least he better, because it's like this dude is quite literally the best player on his team every single week. And it's nice to see it, the maturation. And I think it's also kind of earned. And now don't get me wrong. I don't think he makes the World Cup roster. I don't think so. But it's not out of the realm of possibility to see him be a 2030 guy. Depending on whoever the new coach is going to be post Pochettino, and whatever the tactics are going to be, when you think about his age and you think about his position of kind of being a box to box type of guy, I can easily see Gianluca put himself in a position for 2030, and especially if he moves up and he's absolutely killing it. We have Star Wars Satan in the house. What's up, bud? Hope you're doing well, man. I hope you had a good weekend. Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, let's we do have to talk about Serginho Dest. Not yet. I kind of put the cart before the horse there. Serginho Dest, and of course PSV beat Heerenveen 2-0, and Dest just continues to kill it, man. I love Serginho Dest, and this is why when I see people put Timmy Weah in his position on the World Cup roster, or is it at least a starting position, it's not that I don't disagree per se. It's just I kind of get a chuckle because it's like he's one of many who are in form right now and is playing his best football going into a World Cup year. He plays a full 90, 84 touches, 5 in the opposition box from a right back position, from a right wing back position. 5 touches in the opposition box, 52 of 55 of accurate passes, 6 goes into the final third, 6 recoveries, 4 of 9 of ground duels, 2 of 2 of aerial duels, good enough for a 7.5 rating. And that's the reason why you can't discount a guy like Serginho Dest. Oh, by the way, he was the starting right back in the 2022 World Cup, so he has World Cup experience. He, that was his first cycle, and now he's a second cycle guy who's peaking at the right time, and you can't overlook that. This group that's going into the World Cup is going to be fucking amazing. Let's talk about Timmy Weah. John Tolkien did play this weekend, but again, it wasn't really that great of a performance. Timmy Weah and Marseille lost 1-0 to LOC Lille. He got a full 90 from that right wing back position. One chance created, 61 touches, 36 of 42 of accurate passes, 7 into the final third, which is pretty amazing in itself. 1 of 2 of accurate crosses, 2 interceptions, 7 recoveries, and that was good for a 7 rating as well too. It sucks. Timmy is kind of hot and cold right now. I just want to see Timmy. It's weird. Like it's hard to explain. Like he really has been hot and cold. Like one week he'll score a goal, the next week he'll play well, but it doesn't necessarily find himself in good attacking positions. But he's still rock solid up and down that right flank. But I don't know, man. It's hard to explain. But that being said, you kind of want to see more. That's all I'm saying. All right, since I already put the cart before the horse, we have to talk about Brian Reynolds from Westerlo. And his Westerlo had a monumental victory this weekend against Anderlecht in the Belgian Pro League. And it's awesome, man. I love having these guys come back on because it's minutes since we talked about him. He played a full 90, scoring a goal on 3 shots, 53 touches, 24 of 31 of accurate passes. 7 of those goes into the final third. 3 of 5 grand duels, and that's good enough for an 8 rating. And I love it. And I know what you're saying. It's the Belgian Pro League, but that being said, it's like I give everybody flowers for wanting to test yourself, and especially in a league like the Belgian Pro League, where you will have an opportunity to put yourself in the shop window if you have these type of performances. And I will just say, it's cool to see Brian Reynolds have a great week, and also. I love actually having this because, again, it's a reminder that there are players over there that are having good performances that may or may not be in the top leagues. But that being said, it's like they're worth talking about. All right, let's talk about some center backs because we had some performances. And, of course, we start off with our CB1, Chris Richards. Crystal Palace had 2 games this last week. A midweek win against Burnley, and of course over the weekend they beat Fulham 2-1. He played a total of 180 minutes, so essentially 2 starts. He had 126 touches, 67 of 82 of accurate passes. 8 of those went into the final third. 5 of 10 of accurate long balls, 22 defensive contributions, 4 interceptions, 15 clearances, 2 of 4 of ground duels, and 5 of 10 of aerial duels, good enough for an 8 rating. And he is an absolute stalwart on the right side of the back 3 for Crystal Palace. That's where he should be starting for the U.S. men's national team. There's no need to move him to make room for a guy like Joe Scally. If anything, and I'm the guy that says Richards, Ream, trusty. But if you went like Richard Scally trusty, I wouldn't be upset with that either. Like I don't think Tim Ream should be starting just because of his pace. We have other guys in a back 3 that's still very good with the ball at their feet. Maybe not as good as Ream, but it's like the gap isn't huge. It's like we don't need to figure out a way to shoehorn Tim Ream into a back 3, especially if the dude is going to get caught out because he's not as quick as he was even a year ago at the Copa America. Like I still remember that recovery on that blown play against Uruguay where he was the only one that was tracking back to hustle to get that shot cleared off the goal line. But I still think he's a World Cup player. I think he's going to make the squad, but we probably have a little bit better options. That's all I'm saying. Mark McKenzie played this last weekend in a 1-0 win over Strasbourg. He played a full 90, 32 touches, 18 to 24 of accurate passes, 1 of 3 of accurate long balls, and that was pretty much it for Mark McKenzie. Not a great week. I had him at a 6.5 rating because he didn't really do much. And it's like, yeah, his team gets a clean sheet, so from that standpoint, that's something. but in a performance, he didn't necessarily stand out. That's fine, man. Mark has had a good year. Like I like Mark McKenzie, and again, he was playing on the right side of a back three for Toulouse. Joe Scally, of course, he's pictured here. And again, they beat Mines 1-0. He had a full 90 from the right on the right side of a back three, by the way. 77 touches, 35 of 41 of accurate passes, 5 of those into the final third, 3 of 7 of accurate long balls, 13 defensive contributions. Holy shit. 4 tackles, 7 clearances, 2 interceptions, 8 of 10 of ground duels, and that's good enough for an 8 rating. This is important because this is his new position right now, because they brought in a new coach. They switched the tactics. He's not being used as a wing back, but he's used as a center back. And the more that he plays, the more that he's going to be comfortable. And if this continues, which it will, by the time March comes around, he's going to have 1,000 minutes on the right side of a back three. And it kind of makes you wonder, well, if he's playing on the right side, then he probably could play central as well too, because the positioning really isn't all that different. Just a thought. That's all I'm going to say. Austin Trusty, his Celtic lost 2-1 to Hearts. And by the way, Hearts is going to win the Scottish Premier League. So finally, we're going to have a champion in the Scottish Prem that isn't Celtic or Rangers. And if they hold out and they actually do this, they will be the first champion other than those two since Alex Ferguson was head coach of Aberdeen back in '86. So it's been that long since one of those teams didn't win it. He played a full 90. He had 127 touches. By the way, he had the most touches of any player within a full 90. 106 of 112 accurate passes. And again, he had the most completed passes of any player in a full 90. 14 of those passes goes into the final third. 1 of 2 of accurate long balls. 9 defensive contributions. 6 tackles. 5 recoveries. 7 of 9 ground duels. And 4 of 6 inaccurate passes. 4 of 6 of aerial duels. I apologize. And that was good enough for an 8 rating. And this is the guy that I keep telling people about, right? Austin Trusty. I get it, man. He plays in the Scottish Prem, but he's good. He's really good. And the more that he continues to start, whether it's on the right or the left, the more that he gets comfortable. And it's like we have an option on the left side of the back three that plays with pace, plays with the ball at his feet, and he's also physical as well too. Now, I don't know what that physicality is going to look like in the World Cup, but it's the World Cup. Like, he's not going to shrink on the biggest stage, at least you hope. But that being said, it's like, he continues to have very good performances in the Scottish Prem. And it's like, I just want to see it once. Like, I want to see a back three with Richards on the right, Trusty on the left, and like either Joe Scally or Mark McKenzie in the middle. I would be kind of curious to see what that looks like. Lastly, we got to talk about Nokai Banks because Augsburg did beat Bayer Leverkusen this week. And it looks like Bayer Leverkusen they beat them 2-0. Nokai Banks played a full 90. He had 40 touches, 29 of 32 of accurate passes. 5 of those went into the final third, 2 of 3 of accurate long balls, 5 defensive contributions, 3 tackles, 5 recoveries, 6 of 9 ground duels, 2 of 4 aerial duels, and that was good for an 8 rating as well too. And this young guy has been playing out of his mind as well too. Like, he's getting more comfortable, right? And the mistakes are dwindling, and he's growing in confidence, right? And this is also something to keep an eye on as well too, because it's going to be interesting to see what the March camp is going to look like. Because what I don't want to see is him come in and then not play. And I get it, because we're going to be playing. I think we're playing Portugal and Belgium, 2 teams that you can't make a mistake because we're going to get punished. Understand. But the worst thing you can do is bring him in and then not play him. He's got to, you have to find out what he looks like. for good or for bad, even if we lose and we play well, I'd be willing to take that, especially because this team has been playing really well of late. So they're going to play to the whistle, right? So I kind of want to see what it looks like. I really do. Because I think his play has earned him an opportunity to see what it looks like. 100%. Lastly, goalkeepers. Ethan Horvath did not play for Sheffield Wednesday over the weekend, but today, Jonathan Klinsmann did play today in a 1-1 draw versus Padova in Serie B. He obviously played the full 90. He had 2 saves, but he did concede a goal. 37 touches, 21 of 31 of accurate passes, 2 of 12 of accurate long balls. And it looks like he had 4 recoveries today. Good for a 6.5 rating, and this is coming off the heels of an 8.5 rating last week. And Jonathan Klinsmann kind of seems to be up and down. But, again, we're talking about the third goalkeeper. It's like, what are we really – like, does it matter? If you went Klinsmann, you go Klinsmann. If you go Brady, you go Brady. If you even go Diego Cochin, you go Diego Cochin. It doesn't matter to me because the third goalkeeper is not going to see a lick of time unless, like, the worst happens. But the worst never really happens when it comes to goalkeepers in the World Cup. I can't remember the last time a team had to use their emergency third goalkeeper. So from that standpoint, it doesn't necessarily matter. But, man, good performances all around today. Of course, the player of the weekend, obviously, Christian. And again, obviously that match went down today, and Christian was just mind-bogglingly good. The fact that it was only really like 24 minutes, and like he stepped onto the pitch and the ball's in the back of the net already. And it was his first goal was kind of freak, but that's football. And the fact that I think it was Salamakers was the one off the right-hand side pumping the ball into the box, and it clears the target 9. It just lands on Christian's foot, and he just buries it. It's remarkable. And the fact that this dude, our best player, is in the peak of his powers, in form, heading into a World Cup year, every U.S. fan should be absolutely excited about this. And for me, obviously, Christian, obviously is my player of the week. And I think he should be everybody's player of the week. And again, it was a cameo role. He's just, I guess, getting his legs back, whatever the case may be. And then, he wins the game for AC Milan. It's just unreal. And by the way, now, I think with those 2 goals, I think he is within the top 3 of goals scored in Serie A. And I would probably assume by the end of the year, he probably wins that gold boot. I would be remiss if he didn't win the gold boot in Serie A. Also, quick shout out to Josh Sargent. And again, Josh getting his first goal since August 30th. And it's been a tough slog for Josh. And I know that he's been trying to grind it out. I get it. And, his work rate has been there. He's been the one constant for Norwich City, a bad Norwich City team that probably gets relegated this year. So from that standpoint, man, I like it. And I'm happy to see Josh. And then also Ricardo scoring in his second straight as well, too. So congratulations to those 3. You guys were absolutely awesome this weekend. We will be back tomorrow, by the way, as we go a little bit deeper into the U.S. men's national team group stage, whether or not the familiarity between Paraguay and Australia presents any banana skin type of matches for the U.S. men's national team, because it goes both ways. We hear Mauricio Pochettino talking about how the scouting begins, immediately as soon as the draw happened. But that being said, it goes both ways. And the fact that we were able to get both of those teams in conditions that we chose, in locations that were conducive to us, not them. But they also had the opportunity to see how we set up, how we're going to play and whether or not a team like Paraguay presents a challenge. So that's going to be tomorrow. And I believe that's going to be at 6:30 Eastern. So you want to make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on tomorrow night's show. That's going to do it for me, guys. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank my guy, Derpy 501, Giorgio P87, and of course, Star Wars Satan, who I believe used to be called Soccer Satan. But either way, man, he is the devil, and you better be careful. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday night. More importantly, I hope you guys have a very productive work week. I know for a fact that it's going to be hell on wheels where I work. But that being said, man, it's what I signed up for. But that being said, man, it is what it is. I make good money. You know how it goes. But again, enjoy the rest of your work week. I hope it's productive, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, guys.
Rusted goalposts under fading skies, tattered flags waving dreams in our